students, Assalamu alaikum. I'm Muhammad Ashraf and you're watching Ashraf Kakar channel. Dear students, in this lecture we will be talking about the second topic of geography, that is the tectonic plates or plates tectonics. Plates tectonics discuss that it is a scientific theory that says that the earth is composed of 8 to 9 plates at the Earth's lithosphere. Earth's lithosphere is the upper surface or can be called as the crust of the Earth. These 8 to 9 plates are made by the continental drift. Continental drift can be said as the segregation of one piece of land into 8 pieces, which can nowadays we call as the 7 continents of the world. There are many other plates which are smaller in size and they are not adjacent to the mainland of the earth, and they were called as the remnants of the larger plates. Once they were also the part of these 8 to 9 plates as well. These plates moved relatively towards one another at the rate of 1 to 10 centimeter or 0.4 to 4 inches per year. So these boundaries interact each other with the help of 3 types of movements: the convergence, divergence, and the slide movement. These movements occur just because of the convection of Earth's crust, and this convection is the eruption or the breakdown of radioactive isotopes that are made at the asthenosphere of mantle, and they move towards the crust of the Earth. These plates are divided on the basis of their movements into 3 types: the divergent boundaries, the convergent boundaries, which are further divided into 3 types: the oceanic continental convergence, the ocean convergence, and the continental convergence. So dear students, then we have the divergent boundary. Divergent boundary are made by the eruption of the magma that spill out the basaltic lava. This basaltic lava changes itself into a basalt rocks. Okay? This divergent boundary is represented by the mid-ocean ridge. This lies inside the ocean and is the spreading center of shallow focus earthquakes. These shallow focus earthquakes are only 70 kilometers deep in the earth crust, and the other one, which is a deep focus earthquake, they are more deeper than 70 kilometers. They can go into the second part of the earth in the region of mantle, but these shallow focus earthquakes only go deeper up to 70 kilometers. Then occur the volcanic activities in the mid-ocean ridge and also the hydrothermal metamorphism. Hydrothermal metamorphism is basically the hot rocks inside the water, which they change from one form to another form. Resultantly, they erupts in the water in the shape of hot water. This divergent boundary can be called as a constructive because they take minerals and materials from the deep of the earth towards the surface of the earth. That's why we call it as a constructive. And this divergent boundary occurs not only inside the ocean or the mid-ocean ridge, and also can be occurred at the continental rift, which can be called as the continental rift valley. देखें, जब मिड ओशियन में होती है समंदर के बीच में, तो उस रीजन को हम कहेंगे मिड ओशियन रिज, वाइल जब ये अकर होती है डाइवर्जेंट बाउंड्री, जब कॉन्टिनेंट जब जमीन के ऊपर होती है, इट मेक्स अ रिफ्ट, एक दाग पैदा हो जाता है जमीन के एक हिस्से में एक दाग सा पैदा हो जाता है, जहां से एक कॉन्टिनेंट या एक प्लेट 2 हिस्सों में हो जाता है, एक रिफ्ट पड़ जाता है जमीन पर. तो इसे इसलिए कहते हैं कि भाई इट्स आल्सो अकर at the continent. And one of the major example of this continental rift valley is the East African Rift Valley. It starts it starts from the region in the East Africa, from the Ethiopia, from the country, from an African country, the Ethiopia, and then it goes towards the south of African regions, goes and ends in the country of Africa called Mozambique. And scientists have claimed that Red Sea is a result of the continental rift valley. ठीक है, कि भाई ये रेड सी जो है ये इसी कॉन्टिनेंटल रिफ्ट के रिजल्ट में बना है, एंड इट हैज स्प्लिटेड द अरेबियन पेनिनसुला from the Africa, from the continent of Africa, and that's why they call it as a proto-ocean. So here's the second, we have the convergence boundaries. The convergence boundaries are formed by the collision of tectonic plates with each other. Okay? And these boundaries are called as destructive because they remove or compress the earth's crust. Some of the parts of the crust, they are removed from the surface of the earth. So that's why they are called as destructive. The convergence boundaries results into the earthly forms, landforms like mountain ranges, volcanoes, and oceanic trenches. देखें, जब दो प्लेट्स आपस में कोलाइड करती हैं, आपस में मिल जाती हैं, तो उसके रिजल्ट में माउंटेन रेंजेस बनती हैं, वॉल्केनोज बनती हैं और ओशनिक ट्रेंच बन जाती हैं. इसके तीन टाइप्स है. इन तीन टाइप्स में से जो फर्स्ट टाइप है, इट इज द कोलिजन ऑफ टू कॉन्टिनेंट्स. वन इज द ओशनिक plate and the other one is the continental plate. So by the convergence of an oceanic lithosphere, the oceanic lithosphere overrides the continental lithosphere. As a result of their subduction, there occurs mountain ranges. Like for example, in a picture we can understand that here is the subduction of the continental plate, the oceanic plate over here. So it's submerged inside the astrosphere of the continent, while here comes on the above side, or the continent, or the oceanic plate, there comes from the above side the continental lithosphere. It is the oceanic lithosphere. So it moves downward while it moves upward. As a result, there occurs a mountain like ranges. So here is the water. So that's why we call it the oceanic lithosphere. Like for example, we have the Andes ranges. They are located in South America, and the Cascades range, they are located in northwestern America, known as the North America. The earthquakes, when they emerge over this region, when they touch one another, there occurs the earthquake, which is deep, that is of about 600 kilometers. And this earthquake is of the shallow focus earthquake. Traverses of 70 kilometers in the oceanic range, but when it goes inside the continental lithosphere, it goes deeper towards 600 kilometers. That's why this earthquake is more deeper than the shallow focus earthquake or the continent. There occurs the continental volcanic arc. So when these submerge with one another, they collide with one another just because of their hotness, just because of their pressure, there arises the volcano, the magma. So they go upside through the crust, and they erupt through the surface of the mountain. So here so we have the next type of the convergence, that is the oceanic convergence. Oceanic convergence occurs by the subduction process of two plates occurs. One is the overriding and the other one is the subducting plate. So when they collide with each other, they form the oceanic convergence. As a result, they form the oceanic trench. like there occurs the deep focus earthquakes, not of shallow focus earthquake. There occurs deep focus earthquakes because they are deeper. There occurs the volcanic activities occurs at the seafloor. We have an example of an oceanic trench. There is the Mariana Trench. Mariana Trench is formed by the Pacific plate, which is a subducting plate. Pacific plate is subducts itself, and here comes the Philippines plate that comes from the area of Philippines in the Pacific Ocean. So when they collide with one another, they form a trench, which is the Earth's most deeper trench on Earth. It's called Mariana Trench. Then we have the other examples like the Aleutian Islands, and Mariana Islands as well, and They are two located in the Pacific Ocean, and they are owned. The Aleutian Islands are owned both by the US as well as by Russia, while the Mariana Islands they are owned by USA alone. And they are mature islands like Japan and Sumatra and Java. They are belong to Indonesia. So these islands are formed as a result of the oceanic convergence. Then comes the continental convergence. Here, no subduction takes place because the two plates, when they subduct or when they collide with each other, they are so buoyant that they cannot subduct itself, or one is the subducting or the overriding. So that's they just formed as a result of, like for example, we can understand by the picture. देखिए जब दो प्लेट्स एक यहां से आ रहा होता है और एक यहां से आ रहा होता है, so they are the continental plate as well as this is also a continental plate. So they do not subduct one from the other. As a result, they're formed the islands. They're formed the mountainous ranges, like the two examples we have over here, the Alps mountains and the Himalayas mountain. Himalayas mountains are said to be formed by the convergence of the subcontinent, Indian subcontinent, and the Eurasian subcontinent. Eurasian continent and the Indian continent. As a result, the Himalayas ranges have formed. There occurs the shallow focus earthquakes as well as the metamorphism, but the volcanic activities are very rare in this region. So dear students, and now we have the third type of the contact, that is of the transforming boundaries. Here occurs the slip past of two tectonic plates with respect to each other. There occurs the transform faults between the two plates, and these boundaries or the transforming boundaries called as the conservative because there occurs no any formation of the new crust, nor it destroys any old crust because they just slip pass parallel to each other. So they occur the seismic activities like the shallow focus earthquakes, which only ranges 70 kilometers deep inside the earth in the crust region. So the major example of transforming boundary that located in California, a region of USA, called as the San Andreas Fault. So this transforming boundaries also exist in the northern regions of Pakistan as well as some parts of Balochistan. So dear students, this was all about the tectonic plates. We have studied one by one in detail. See you in the next lecture.